back with another YouTube tutorial, and today we're going to be doing some extra long nails on one of my loyal clients, and we're currently doing prep. I'm now applying the dehydrator. Next, I'm going to go in with my Young Nails Protein Bond and then my No Lift Primer. The nails we're doing today are freestyle. I do let my clients pick the color for the freestyle, but normally my clients don't request a shape, so they get tapered square. But I know sometimes people do request a certain shape. That's not really an issue. But if they don't say anything, I'm just going to do what I know best. For today's video, I did want to do a very detailed application for this freestyle because we are going to be doing a couple different things. And in the background, me and my client was watching some crime shows, which is real interesting when you're doing nails and talking about it. If you're really somebody that never has anything to talk about with new clients, or you're just not in the mood to talk, I always recommend just having your client put on a little TV show they like, because y'all could talk about the show or y'all cannot talk at all and you can continue to work. But moving on, right now I'm starting with the pinky nail. I did place a small bead of acrylic powder on her natural nail, but I'm going to move on because I really wasn't too sure what I wanted to do to this nail yet. I'll be doing the same thing here, applying one bead of clear acrylic to the natural nail before I go with my colored acrylic. The colored acrylic that I'll be using today is from Valentino. This is Bad and Bougie. This has become my favorite cover color. If y'all got something y'all like better, let me know. But this color right here, I definitely recommend. I had placed my bead down first, and like I said, this is in real time. I did make sure that the top of the bead was sidewall to sidewall before focusing on the rest of the acrylic and bringing this down all the way to the free edge. As I'm bringing the acrylic down, I'm going to one side, the center of the nail, and then going to the other side. I try my best to get the application really smooth so that later on we don't have to file for too long. We could save us some time, maybe use the bathroom, get a snack, I don't know. But this is going to save us some time with a real smooth application. So next, I'm going to get my second bead once I'm finished being a perfectionist and cleaning up the sidewalls, which were already clean. After placing the second bead, I'm going to make sure that it's as flat to the natural nail as possible. Make sure none of my acrylic is falling off to the side, and then I'm going to start to blend this down. I like Valentino's cover colors, but I will say that it does have a medium dry. Like, it's not really fast, but it's definitely not slow, so you'll want to get to moving. For the cuticle bead, I placed this bead directly on top of the start of the previous one, and now I'm using the tip of my brush to lightly push this into the open space. But for any reason, if it's not as close as I would like it to be, I am going to use the tip of my brush to push it even further back. With doing this, you'll definitely want to be careful, and you'll want to make sure that you'll go back and clean up the cuticle area if you need to, because you don't want any product touching the skin. I know y'all can see that on the side of the nail, it looks like I wiped it a little too much. So I did go back and add a bead on the side. And then I'm also going to add one more bead of clear acrylic powder for the apex since these nails are extra long. Moving on to the middle finger, I wanted to do a nude to clear. So I'm going to start at the nail tip, directly on top of the nail tip, and then I'm going to start to blend this down to the clear end. I don't know why I said clear end. I meant to the free edge. So currently I am making sure that my acrylic powder is flat to the nail plate. And afterwards, starting from the bottom of the bead, I'm going to start to blend this down to the free edge. I'm also making sure that it's even, so I am going back and applying some pressure going across the nail. The cuticle application here was much better than what I did before. And this time I did make sure that I was holding the finger down, but I also used a little more liquid than last time so that this powder was able to easily flow into the cuticle area. Once I was finished doing this, making sure all of that acrylic powder is covering the entire area and there's no nail plate showing, I am going to go back and make sure that there's no acrylic touching the skin just like before. I was just being a little cautious because I told y'all earlier this acrylic powder does dry just a little quickly. So I did work in smaller beads. So that's why right here I did apply one more bead of the nude because I did feel like it was a little see-through. Next, I'm going in with these glitter flakes on the free edge of the nail. Now, I'm really not going to use too many of them. I don't want to cover the whole free end. Why do I keep saying free end? Moving on, I did place some flowers on the free edge and I did press down on them to make sure that they lay as flat as possible. This way, when I'm encapsulating, I don't have to worry about accidentally filing the flower off because I've done that a couple times. I actually did a full set of nails that looked like this and they came out really pretty. Now that I'm looking at this finger, I actually wish I would have only used certain colors instead of doing them rainbow, but I will link that video down below if you're interested in seeing it. I did use my cuticle nippers to kind of cut off the edge of some of the flowers. And I really should have just did this with scissors first because this would have been much easier. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to place another side of the flower on the free edge. I do want to make sure that none of these flowers move once I start to encapsulate these nails. So I am going to place some acrylic powder right on top. It does not have to be a lot, just enough so it could dry and not move anywhere. For my colored acrylic today, we'll be using this yellow acrylic from Chisel. If I recommend Chisel, yes. Now, Chisel is another brand that doesn't really dry slow, but also doesn't dry too fast. I definitely feel like this is beginner friendly, and this video is still in real time. I first started to pull my acrylic down using the very tip of my brush, and when I was ready, I started to use the body of my brush to wipe down and across. Every once in a while, I do clean my brush off and go back into my monomer, but I make sure I do not drench my brush. You do not want to get any acrylic powder stuck in your brush, so this is why I'm consistently going back and cleaning it off. For this next nail, I did pick up a larger bead because I did not want to later have to encapsulate this nail. So just like before, I'm going to make sure that all of my acrylic powder is on top of the nail and that the top of the bead is flat to the nail plate. I'm currently still patting around the acrylic powder. I'm going to start to lightly bring it down before applying more pressure and bringing this bead down to the free edge. Now, you don't want to apply too much pressure. You do want to leave a little bit of the thickness in the apex area because, like I said, I don't want to have to later encapsulate this nail. Going back to the middle finger, y'all see how flat the flowers are to the nail? I'm going to start to encapsulate it now, and I'm starting pretty much in the center of the nail. I'm going to make sure all of my acrylic powder is on top of the nail, and very lightly I'm going to start to bring this down over my design. When I'm finished dragging this down to the free edge, I'm going to start to wipe the entire body of the nail and get this really smooth before I move on to my next bead. I actually really like how this looks. I love the iridescent crystals, the flakes, y'all. I'm really feeling the flakes. And they did come in different colors. They came in a 4-color pack when I purchased these, and I will link them down below. I did decide to encapsulate this in 3 beads. The original application was not that thick at all. It was actually pretty thin. I told you guys earlier that I went back in with more nude acrylic powder because it was a little too thin. So here we're actually going to start to build the thickness of the nail in the apex. For the pinky nail, I wanted to do a ombre nail, so I did first start off with a very large bead, and I wanted this bead to be big enough to cover the entire bottom of the nail. Well, the entire nail tip. As I was bringing this acrylic powder down, I realized that I used a little bit too much acrylic powder. This is going to be an ombre nail, so I don't need to be applying this acrylic powder as if this is a solid color nail. So I did end up wiping off some of the acrylic powder, and after I'm going to start to go in with my nude acrylic. With ombre nails, you'll want to remember that the larger your first bead is, the further down the ombre is going to go. And here, I applied this very tiny bead. I definitely should have picked up a much larger one. And you guys are going to see that the ombre isn't really going to go down too far. Very gently, I'm going to start to blend this out. And before I add any more nude to the ombre itself, I am going to make sure I complete the nail and do the cuticle area first, just so I can see if I'm actually sure about adding on to the ombre. When I was finished with the ombre, I did encapsulate this nail in clear. And while we're here, if you made it this far into the video, feel free to comment down below some yellow hearts. And I wanted to tell you guys about some things my clients have told me recently when it comes to going to a new nail tech. Because recently I've had a lot of new clients. I have a lot of returning clients too. But I've definitely had some new clients that were just kind of telling me about their previous experiences with getting their nails done. One of the most common things I hear when it comes to clients not going back to nail techs is either they're late, they don't have a price list, or their work is inconsistent. Now, if you're late, girl, you should not be late anyway. I try my hardest to make sure that I'm always on time, and there has probably been under 5 times, I'll say under 7 times within the last 4 years I've been doing nails where I was late. And 7 is actually pushing it because it really probably is under 5. Not having a price list and making stuff up off the top of your head, eh, if you're doing that on the spot, yeah, that may be an issue. Now, if you see something and you give it a price and that's the price you're sticking with after you do whatever calculations you do, whatever, that's cool. But not having a price list at all and then last minute telling your client, all right, this is $150. I could definitely see how that could be an issue, but people should be asking what the total is before anyway. Like, if I was going somewhere and I wasn't sure what the total was, I would definitely ask, but we all know that's not the case for everybody. But I could see where that comes into place. And for consistency, I feel like sometimes people do have bad days. That one I definitely could understand because if you're looking at somebody's Instagram page or if you've been going to somebody consistently to get your hair done or your nails and your lashes done, and then out of nowhere they start like slacking off or not really putting their all into it, this is going to stir clients in the other direction. And I feel like, not that I like when people tell me why they didn't go back to their last nail tech, but it definitely gives me some insights on like some things that you should not do. So I could tell you guys. Being late all the time definitely seemed like that was one of the more larger issues, either them not being there at all, them coming much after them, or maybe even y'all not apologizing when y'all not late. But there's definitely plenty of things that would make a client not come back. And unfortunately, negative things will stick in somebody's brain for a very long time. So I do try my best with my clients to not give them negative experiences, especially like the energy you put off and your attitude. I just be real calm, even on days where I'm really not in the mood to speak. Sometimes I'll kind of just force myself out of it so I'm not potentially making my client uncomfortable with my mood that has nothing to do with them. Or I'll, turn the music up a little bit. Or you can just let them know, like, hey, today is not really a good day for me. I'm going to do the shit out your nails. But I'm just letting you know this is how I'm feeling. Like, it can really be that easy. So it's really just about communication. But you definitely want to make sure that you're giving your client a very pleasant experience. For this nail, I did go in with some more of those flakes and I could have encapsulated them in a little bit of clear face, but I decided to just go right into my nude acrylic powder and start my ombre. Also, since the thumb is larger, sometimes I do go in with 3 beads of acrylic on the ombre just because I don't want it to be too thin. And I also don't want to overflow the cuticle by mistake, so I just like to break it down. For the cuticle area, my camera was starting to go out of focus when I was starting to seal, but luckily I got a really good close-up of the thumb. I'll be using this drill bit to file the acrylic that's closest to the skin. As y'all can see, I'm going not in a back and forth motion, but I am starting to go back and continue as I'm working. This does not have to be too thin, so after I go over it about twice, I'm going to move on and start to reshape these nails using this 80/80 grit hand file. If I laid my application down and the nails were too thick, I would have continued to use my nail drill and filed them down before doing this step. But my application was pretty smooth and I felt like the 80/80 grit file would remove any extra thickness I did not want. When I'm using the 80/80 grit hand file to file the rest of the nail, I'm not going to go in the cuticle area with the file. We did already seal the cuticle area, so we don't have to touch that. We just want to make sure that the rest of the nail is smooth and also that there's no acrylic powder underneath the nail tip. When I was filing, I was also making sure that all the nails were still the same length, because sometimes I will accidentally make one nail a little shorter, so you do want to go back and make sure everything looks good before moving on. Before moving on to my designs, I am going to start to buff these nails and remove all those really fine scratches off the surface. I wanted to do some 3D flowers today, and I would have done like a really cute design, but I decided to keep it simple because my brush was kind of messed up. So as I'm working, you guys are going to see me consistently going back and pinching my brush so I can make sure that the petals are still nice and perfect, because at this time I was waiting for my new batch to come in. Now these flowers are a little time consuming, especially when you first learn how to do them, and I do have a more detailed tutorial up on my channel, and it's doing pretty good on my channel right now. At first I really didn't think y'all was gonna like it because it was just like a really simple and straightforward tutorial, but I'm glad that y'all liked it, and I'm gonna link it down below. I wanted to do a zoom up on the flowers, and I actually really wish I would have added some more flowers to these nails. I think they would have been so cute, like the little 3D flowers that come in the pack. I definitely should have put some of those in the open space, but this is still cute. Also, I would love to know what you guys like to see next. I had a couple things in mind. I've really been wanting to try out this water nail trend. I also wanted to try the aqua nails, the 3D chrome nails. Like, there are a lot of trends right now. So y'all let me know what y'all want to see first, and I'm going to get to it. For the next nail, I am going to go in with these Serenity crystals. I do get them from Blue Street Crystal because, girl, we are not using those plastic rhinestones anymore. I know I've said this 1,000 times, but it's just something about the Serenity and Priosa crystals that really just, it makes everything come together. So if you are currently using plastic crystals and you're a beginner, that's okay. But when you can afford to get the real ones, you'll definitely want to get them so you can start to upcharge. The glue that I'm using is Zule Bling Glue. Now, I used to love, love, love Zule Bling Glue, but I feel like the consistency has changed. Like, it's a little thinner than it was before. If you use too much of it, your crystals will slip and slide, and they will also kind of cast white if you completely drown the nail in glue. So I'm kind of on the edge about if I want to continue to use this glue. It still holds really, really well. You just have to make sure you're being careful when you're using it and you're not adding too much glue, because y'all, it will turn on you. It really will. I did also use extra glue for the butterfly, and this butterfly actually came in a pack of silver and gold butterflies. For the pointer finger, I did want to keep it simple. I wasn't really too sure what I wanted to do, so I decided to just place some stones going right up the center of the nail. And I'm going to show y'all how these turned out in the end after they were fully top coated, because these were definitely perfect for summertime. I do hope that y'all enjoyed this YouTube video. I definitely enjoyed doing these. And like I said earlier, let me know down below what you would like to see next, and I'm going to see you in my next video.